guys, excellent. Thank you so much for tuning in with us again for another edition of what we're calling 10 Men's with Friends. I know you've enjoyed some of the videos so far, and I'm here with one of my closest friends, Megan, and she's going to be sharing a passion of hers that she's had for a long time. We're here on set in her beautiful home, and in just a minute we'll even take a look at her garden to see some of the things that she's going to be telling us how we can even do that at our own home. So Megan, take it away.
Well, I've been gardening since I was like 4. My grandfather actually had a garden his whole life, and he's the one that taught me how to, plant things in certain seasons and till up the garden at a certain time. And, you don't pull weeds at the same time you plant seeds because you want them to grow. So we basically have a garden right now that's a spring garden. So it has basically like beans and peas and peppers and such. I also have seedlings that I actually have from my grandfather.
Wow.
From his plants. They're hybrids that he made, and they actually grow the best. So they've been in my freezer for about 17 years, and they're still fertile. So I've been planting those, and we have herb gardens, so that when you make the beans and the peas and the peppers, you can add your own herbs to it. What else did you want to know?
You say about herbs. I know you have some herbs that you brought out for us to show us.
This is peppermint, and then you didn't try the basil yet, but here's basil.
Now, is this a particular kind of basil or just regular?
It's just flat leaf basil, like what you use in tomato sauce or.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's nice.
Rosemary is very strong. I wouldn't like.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll eat that, but I'll smell it.
It's really good in eggs and poultry and fish.
It smells so much different than when you just buy it in the store.
Even good. Drying it fresh smells and tastes different than from the store.
That's cool. Now, if like someone watching this video today, they would like to maybe have an herb garden, or maybe they do want to start planting beans and things, maybe okra or corn or whatnot. What are some maybe tips and things that you've learned over the years that can help someone if they're wanting to plant a garden?
Gardens are unpredictable. And you can do anything you can possibly do to make them grow, and sometimes they won't. But I use the almanac like an old person.
Okay. And
my uncle actually taught me how to plant in the different phases of the moon. Literally, you can do an experiment if you look up the phases of the moon and dig a hole on the increase of the moon versus the decrease of the moon.
Okay. And
the hole will have more dirt come out of it. I don't know how it happens, but it does. And so that's what I've been doing with my garden. Today actually is a planting day for bush crops.
Okay.
So like beans, peas, stuff like that. So I'll be planting 2 more rows of okra, hopefully later on today.
Nice.
But basically the one thing that I learned recently that I didn't realize was if you put 2 different types of peas or 2 different types of beans or peppers, if you don't put something between them, they will fertilize each other and become a hybrid.
Really?
And then they may not even produce. So
that's interesting.
You have to like separate them. So it may be pretty to have all your corn in one spot and everything, but it's better to separate them with different things.
That's pretty neat. I think I even hear in history class that the Native Americans, they would put like beans next to corn so they could grow up, and even something else that would fertilize the corn, which helps the beans, and so they kind of play on with one another. And so that's good information. You can go to the supermarket or the superstore and get an almanac book, or maybe do a Google search to be able to find when you can plant and what's best to do when and where. What about an herb garden? That's probably the easiest thing for someone starting out to do.
Probably. I would not suggest doing an herb garden the first time from seeds.
Okay.
I tried that and it ended up not working because some seeds are older and younger, and then they just don't work.
Okay.
And you want to have a lot of confidence with your first garden.
Yeah,
you don't want to fail because sometimes it can get really discouraging.
Yeah.
So if you just get the plants at Walmart or wherever, you can actually look it up online on Pinterest or Google or whatever, and find the ones that grow well together, because certain plants need more water, more sun, and if you have them all in one pot like this, someone's going to be unhappy the whole time.
Right.
So you just, like, for this one, I have rosemary, basil, mint, and I actually have some lavender that I planted inside that I'm going to put in the pot.
That's cool.
And those go together really well.
Okay.
So
that's awesome. So I mean, you got things to make tea. You got things to put like as into your eggs and different stuff. I mean, all in one pot, and so it sounds like really beneficial. I bet it's also real rewarding. Obviously gardening takes a lot of work. It can be unpredictable. There's some sweat equity into it, but I bet the rewards of I planted this and I made this rosemary and I dried it myself and I put it in my eggs. Like, is that pretty rewarding to be able to do that?
It is. I would say that I learn more from gardening than I even get out of it produce-wise. And I love giving to people, so that's the best part of gardening, is having excess and being able to give it to people who either don't like gardening or don't know how to garden, especially in a time like this when everyone's being very, like, it's my toilet paper.
Right.
It's really wonderful to be able to be like, no, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Like, if I have something you need, if I know something that you don't know,
yeah,
I'm going to give it to you.
That's awesome.
So, and definitely the process of a garden and weeding and pulling weeds. And I noticed that when my first row started coming up, I was panicked because I saw this crack and I thought that it was a ground mole or something bad happening. But it turns out that sometimes, the dirt has to crack in order for things to grow.
Okay.
And it's a really good metaphor for life. Like, sometimes it has to get messy and it has to crack, and then
in order for life to come up.
Yeah.
Not so good. And maybe you're watching today and you want to start a garden or maybe an herb garden. I've tried it before and had some success, and obviously in just a moment we're going to take a look at Maegan's garden that she planted just a few weeks, maybe a month ago, and be able to see if Maegan can do it, though she had so much great training and she had family influences. I mean, you can do it as well, and so it won't be hard, but just you got to start somewhere. And so Maegan, thank you so much for sharing some of the basics and some of your life stories about this. And so stay tuned. We're going to take a walk over to the garden and look at that right now and just see some of the fruits of the labor. Let's do that together. Excellent. So here we are at the garden that Maegan has planted, that she has tilled the soil and planted the seeds and watered it diligently. And she's just going to take a couple minutes to share, that process and everything that she's grown. So how about you go ahead and do that for us?
Okay. Well, I have a tractor with a tiller on it.
Okay.
And I basically till up all of the spots that I want. I have 2 spots.
Nice.
And then you let it sit for a few days because you want the grass to die.
Oh, okay,
that
makes sense.
And then you rake as much grass as you can, you water it down, and then you plant. So I just get like a little hoe, make a row, and then put my seeds in and cover it up.
Okay.
These are some of the peas and beans that I grew. And if you notice, these 2 rows are bigger, and I planted these rows and those rows one day apart.
Oh, wow.
But I planted these with the increase of the moon, and I planted those with the decrease of the moon.
Wow. So the moon really does play a factor
It really
when it comes
does.
to
It
this.
really
That's
does.
incredible.
So I did it as an experiment, and it worked. So these are peas and beans. These are beans. Those are black-eyed peas.
Okay.
The next row is squash, watermelon, and cucumbers.
Okay.
And then all my okra is over there.
Nice.
So I have a few plants, the tomato plants and pepper plants. Those are better to grow from like the plants you get at Walmart or whatever.
Now with a garden this big, you can probably not only feed your family but multiple families. It seems like a pretty big garden, right?
I would say so, as long as everything produces well. I would say probably a family of 12 to 15.
Wow, that's a big family.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
We don't have that many in our family, but we have a lot of friends. So.
Yeah, no, that's cool. But see, even a garden, this big, it doesn't have to be acres big. It can even be half the size of this, and look how much produce you can put just in one little thing. And I'm just so amazed at how God has set things in motion, that even the effects of the moon can affect look, you can see the size from one row to another that was only a day apart because of the moon. So I hope that this took took you to a place of encouragement, to say maybe even inspired you to want to start a garden. Start at your own pace. If you don't have a tractor with a tiller, that's all right. Just have a plot of land, or maybe you want to do an herb garden or an indoor garden. You can just get some planters and things and really go at your own pace. And like Maegan was saying, this has been so informative for her, and inspiring for her and encouraging for her, because she's learning things about herself. She's learning things about nature. Even if she doesn't yield, a giant produce or a large crop, but the fact that she's able to, grow inwardly is just as important, or even maybe more important than what's growing outwardly. And so I hope that this encouraged you today. Stay tuned. We have some more videos coming your way this week. I hope that you would join us with our 10 Minutes with Friends. God bless.